you have any questions, please raise your hand. We will give you the mic. And while you tell your questions, please introduce yourself and please tell us your publication name as well.
Before the question starts, there's something also very exciting about this box, which I will give a brief. You've already seen the video, but something very important for us to know is why. So the way we should look at is that today you are looking at digital, so whatever your phone or the AI today. AI is a great example. I'll use that to help you explain what is fundamentally different here, right? So today you have a chip, like an NVIDIA chip, which computes a problem, right? So it does it in a digital way. And then you have memory, where it kind of, whatever it computes, it sends it. So there is a transport which keeps happening between compute to memory through transport bus. Now if you look at in a digital world, every time you increase your compute, you have to also proportionally increase the power. And most of the power, almost 90%, goes into moving data between compute and memory, right? This is how the digital chip architecture is. So that's what you will see, and as Mohanji mentioned, so US, why they're investing 2 trillion, 3 trillion, is largely to say, hey, I'll increase the compute, but unfortunately the stack I have also requires a lot of power. So that's why so much cost is there, right? But then you look at your brain, right? The same degree of compute which an NVIDIA chip will do and require a lakh plus watt, your brain does in 20 watt. So what is the difference between this and the digital compute? This is called analog, right? So this is, your brain is an analog compute, right? But the world where AI you are seeing is on digital compute, right? Now this becomes extremely phenomenal to appreciate what we have built. So if you today look at the stack of AI delivery, you have all these large language models, right? OpenAI and cloud, everything is sitting on a server, right? And then you have these connectivities, 3G, 4G, 5G, right? And then you have devices, right? The important thing to know here is that the traffic to the large language models originates from your devices. It's your laptop, your phone, your smartwatch, smart glass, right? So suddenly these devices starts becoming very interesting, right? Because say 3 years down the line, whatever compute large language model could do will almost be same. Their cost structure will always also be reaching almost equilibrium, right? So nothing much you can do on the cloud side. Connectivity anyways, just keeps growing and so where is the actual difference in delivering of anything related to AI? The difference will happen on the edge. The devices from where you interact, right? And suddenly edge devices starts becoming critical. This is an edge device. Now the challenge with edge is that here, although the control is there now, that the traffic will originate from here, which means that tomorrow, if today you are sending all your requests to the cloud to get processed, it consumes a lakh of tokens. In future, you can compute some locally and only send maybe 50,000 tokens on the cloud. So that way you will do the cost optimization. But the question is that how much can I compute on the edge? Because here, there is, for example, if you are a smart glass, the maximum compute you can put, the area is just the frame, right? And the digital requires that if you're putting a compute, you should also put power there. Now, how much battery can you pack on the brim of a smart glass? There's nothing much. And hence come analog compute, right? So one more anecdote I will give you to understand the power of analog compute. We all use Alexa, we all use Siri. How much of you think that Alexa only listens Alexa? Or do you think it listens everything which you speak? Absolutely. Because the science says that it has to listen everything, because listening, so what you're saying is analog. The algorithm which decides that, hey, Alexa is a wake word isn't digital. You get my point? So you have to convert every conversation into digital first, then apply the filter, which is the algorithm, that if Alexa was there, then you process, if not there, discard. But the conversion of analog to digital is constantly happening. So it's listening everything, right? And when you listen everything, you need compute, you need power, right? Right? And that's what the digital is. But think about this. You create a small tunnel which can only take the vibrations which, when you say Alexa, right? So when you say Alexa, it's a sound, right? It creates certain vibration frequencies. So you put a tunnel which can only take those vibrations. Everything else it discards, right? And at the end of that tunnel, you have put your analog to digital converter, right? So now the compute will only trigger if you have said Alexa, because anything else just falls back. So now suddenly analog compute brings huge degree of efficiency, right? Which digital can never, right? And now the large scheme of things, right? So we have in the world today two power centers. One is this whole tech side which the US is today controlling. Then you have this manufacturing side which China is controlling, right? But what China is largely building is all these digital side of things. So there's a digital tech, then there's a digital manufacturing. Now if India, we can be number 2 manufacturing, number 2 tech, or we can actually be a completely new platform, right? Which is about saying that I will do the similar tech work, similar compute work, but completely on a new platform. And to support that platform, I will build something completely new set, right? So analog, neuromorphic, which is your brain, quantum, these are the areas which is going to help us leapfrog and be a much more powerful control center and give the world this, right? So this is one such big example. So it's just not about making or bringing bank closer to the merchant, but it's also an example to say that, hey, when you start looking at platform, why don't you create something from scratch, right? Which could meaningfully not just have, some of these conversational impacts, but something which could be scaled, not just from to merchants in India, but globally at much lower cost, and can start becoming the reason of lot of others to also start working towards analog computing, right? So this is an analog computing box. We have our friends from Qualcomm here. We have been working there on our cap table. We are working very closely with them because the world of the future which we see will be built on edge, and edge requires analog because they can't have much larger compute, much larger energy. So you'll see a mix of that, and this is a great example there. With that I pause. Let's take more questions.
Sir, what market percentage are you planning to capture in the first phase, and what is your next 1 year plan?
So today, with our normal boxes, we do roughly 1,60,000. We reach 1,60,000 MSME every month. That's the run rate we have. With this version, we aim to do this whole year. We will put almost 5 lakh of these with our MSME partners, right? So roughly, if you look at from a larger 6 crore MSME, this will be definitely less. But this year alone, we will cover 5 lakh MSMEs with this product. Right now, okay, again, it's a very important question. So he's asking how many language it supports. The important thing again here is that we are an analog compute company. So we can, so we look at your language as sound vibrations. It's sound, right? So it's largely language agnostic. But for us right now, what we have packed here is 10 languages. But this product, today you can ship it to Jakarta and it can support Basa. You don't need training because it's all vibrations, right? So logically we can extend to any language, but yes, for a query, we support today 10 languages of this.
Planning to expand this other than India.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, now entrepreneurs in India should have much more longer view, right? You should now start thinking of 20 years, 30 years down the line, right? And in those views, you have to also see that how can India become, or the products in India could start solving global problems, right? So this definitely, this year we are looking at massive global expansion. We start with Southeast Asia. We have already started operations in Indonesia as we speak, and we are going to touch few more countries here in Southeast Asia.
So, ambitious claims on cost savings, then churn reduction and cross-selling. Can you provide independent pilot data, customer case studies, or bank partners that validate these numbers?
Yes. First, I will tell you on the cost. Right. So a typical soundbox which does nothing but just plays an acknowledgement. So all the computers happening on the server, it just sends a message. Cost you around 1,000 rupees. Right. And if you look at a typical card machine, right, which you see in the market, right, that's cost you somewhere around 7,000 to 8,000 rupees. Take a guess how much a conversational box could cost. Right. This is just 1,300, and in some cases, if you pack something more, it will be 1,500. So by just adding 300 to 500 more on your nominal sound box, right, you have made the entire stack conversational. Right. Now imagine a MSME or a merchant. Right. Look at why will he need a sound box or even a card machine if he has something as powerful as this. So the point is that we always wanted to bring something which can reach 6 crore MSMEs. We don't want to bring something which only a handful of them could use. Right? This is A. B is that, look, if you look at how a store opens in India, you just go ahead and open a neighborhood store. Right? You just look, you take all the knowledge which is available locally, the trust network which has been locally built, right? So there's a lot of information asymmetry, right? But now with conversation, right, you can have in your hand the power of information right there, right? And you can start unlocking those use cases. So today we are positioning this because we think that this is very critical, that this is an extension of bank branch for MSME, a 24/7 available bank there on the box. But very soon a lot of large FMCG companies who have never been able to reach directly to a merchant could now reach through this box, right? If there are coupons, offers which they want to use MSME to offer to end customers, they can relay this through this box. Right? So suddenly the cost structure for your large FMCG companies also starts reducing, right? So for banks, I'll just tell you that it's a direct 35% reduction in their annual cost of managing an MSME account, right? RM, which they apply, which they bring, can only handle 100 MSME accounts, right? And is only available 10 to 6. Now you have a 24/7 available RM, right? At a marginal cost, right? So from some of the samples or the work which we have done with some partner banks, we are clearly seeing a 30 to 35% cost reduction Forget about the cross-sells. Now come to NBFCs. Today NBFCs, as Mohanji was saying, their cost to capital is high. On top of that, their loan origination cost, if you apply, there's very little left for them to make from every lending. Now this completely reduces origination cost because now demand is coming in a digital form, right from the store. He doesn't have to send somebody there, right? So that's another way to kind of look at it. And yes, we have been on this for almost 4 quarters now. And one very interesting thing here is that like Alexa is a wake word. You can just say Alexa and it wakes up. Our initial box had the same feature. But then what we realized when we put it in a broader ecosystem, that there is a huge learning curve for your MSMEs to just speak, right? And hence we did button press. Because now he knows that, okay, whenever he needs a help, he has to reach out to the box, press a button, and then speak. When his speech is done, release the button. So now the learning curve is not there. It's very simple for a sales guy to explain him that, hey, press the button, tell your query, release the button, and the answer will come, right? So again, so there's a lot of market study behind even how we have designed the interactions, right? So